Though we have all traveled many uncertain roads, we have always recognized something wasn't right. We searched high and low, yet our paths had never intersected. Our desire to seek truth, then to speak true, has brought us all together. That thing of ours is rooted in truth, because truth is the only unshakable foundation. In the greatest book, it states in John 8:32, "For ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."
Truth is a powerful force. It is the foundation on which all great achievements are built, and the bedrock of trust and respect in any relationship. When we are rooted in truth, we can be confident that our decisions and actions are grounded in reality rather than in speculation or wishful thinking.
The pursuit of truth is not always easy. It requires courage, perseverance, and a willingness to face uncomfortable facts. But in the end, the truth is always worth it. It allows us to make better decisions, to build stronger relationships, and to create a more just and equitable world.
From politics and world events to entertainment and pop culture, we've got you covered. We'll explore our history and the stories that matter to uncover the truth that lies at the heart of each one. With our fingers on the pulse of the news cycle, we'll provide the insights and analysis you need to stay informed and engaged. As we stay rooted in truth and let the truth guide us in all that we do, let us be willing to listen, to learn, and seek out the facts, even when they challenge our own assumption or belief.
Let us never forget that the pursuit of truth is not just an individual endeavor, but a collective one. Only by working together
With honesty and integrity,
can we build a better future for ourselves
And for generations to come.
This
is That Thing of Ours. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for joining us today on this Monday, 23rd of December, 2024. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and Pill.net.
and if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart. And if you're on Facebook, you have like 7 choices. So clickety click away.
Clickety, clickety. Hit those buttons. Truly helps us out, and we really do appreciate it. Gets us higher up in the algorithm, and that's always good news for us. And good news for y'all if, you like keep seeing this stick around a little bit. The thumbs up and appreciation always helps out. All right. So it's going to be short because we only got, Monday, and then it's holidays, and
Yeah.
then, we'll be back on Thursday, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, unless, of course, they decide to start
Unless
World War
something
III or
happens,
something.
then, of course, we'll go live.
Yeah, we'll go live while they're still live to go.
Yeah. So we got F. Clint in the house.
Yo, what's up, F. Clint?
Got Mike in the house.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for joining, man.
There's Chachi.
Hey, Chachi.
Miss Steph.
Hey, Steph.
There's Miss Dawn.
Hey, Dawn. Thanks for joining.
Miss Jenny.
Jenny.
Watch out for the frogs, Jenny. And Merry Christmas to
Merry
you,
Christmas.
ma'am.
Watch out for the frogs, Jenny.
Let's see. Did we get it?
I think so far, so far we got everybody.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Holy front swap, Batman. A front swap?
Font.
Oh, font swap. Oh, font. Sorry.
Yes.
Car mode.
I've been playing with
the
upgrades to StreamYard. Pretty soon it'll be our actual font. We just have
one
to
day
figure out how to get it in there.
Yeah, because it's not recognizing a true type font, so I have no idea. Whatever. Computers. Here to make our lives better.
Every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, before we go any further.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, Agent Smith.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Agent Smith. Hope everything's going good.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Oh, we got Sheriff Hector over on Pilled.
Oh, hey, what's up, Sheriff Hector? Thanks for joining.
So, there we go.
All right.
Are you ready?
So we're caught up.
Yes.
Okay, good deal.
Ready?
Yes.
Let's listen.
Let's listen.
So this individual has been arrested in New York City for burning a woman alive on a subway. This is a migrant from Guatemala. From what I know so far, the man entered the country in 2018 in Arizona and made his way to a sanctuary city in New York. In the video, rather than helping the woman that is on fire, you can see this individual literally flaming the fire. By the way, if you don't know what flaming means, that basically means putting more air on the fire, increasing the oxygen that's hitting it, allowing it to grow. Or I guess technically making it burn brighter and hotter. On the same day this happened, Kathy Hochul posted this on X. In March, I took action to make our subways safer for the millions of people who take the trains each day. Since deploying the National Guard to support the NYPD and the MTA safety efforts and adding cameras to all subway cars, crime is going down and ridership is going up. Ma'am, what a time to post that. This man should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And honestly, that probably won't even allow him to get what he deserves. Now, again, that's assuming that he's proven guilty, which it seems like he very likely will be. It seems like there were cameras that caught him doing all this. They just haven't released the footage yet. I'll also be very curious to see his immigration status and for us to know if he was here legally or if he's not here legally.
Thoughts?
Like we don't already know what his immigration status is. I've heard his name. It's popped up. Yes, he's an illegal from one of those countries, whatever. Just, yeah, not here like he's, as if he was supposed to be here. Just doing the things that he would have been doing otherwise. That's the problem, is that's the people they've been importing into our nation. And we got a lot of tough work ahead of us. Make sure you're keeping your head on a swivel because you don't really know what's going on. There was another gal that just got unalived. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, January 20th can't come soon enough.
I know.
Yeah, I would say not. I read he was once deported and snuck back in. F Clan wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. I mean,
No.
we know that they come back across all the time. Doesn't matter, so long as they're playing the game for the people that keep bringing him back over. I'm sure that those people are quite content bringing him back over.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You ready?
Yep.
I got sassy.
All right. Here we go.
Let's see. Wait, Steph
Oh, wait.
said, yep, they got to do something about this now.
Yeah. There
He's
we go.
from Guatemala.
Thank you, Chachi.
Okay, we got sassy. So earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
Ready?
Yeah.
You've got to be shitting me. Joe raising hell again, like a hair and a biscuit. Don't know Joe. I wish he'd go to bed. Commutes the sentences of 37 out of the 40 federal death row inmates. Gotta be shitting my dick. Does this man even know he's president? Ain't competent to stand trial, but can pardon every piece of shit coming and going? Bullshit. He's just gonna let these people have life in prison. This burns my fucking biscuit. I'm a strong advocate for capital punishment. Crime, you do the time. Pop somebody up, you getting put in the wood chipper. Beat first so you can watch. Eye for an eye. Bring back the old ways. You steal, cut your hand off. Take somebody's life. The animals eat you. Cover you in honey. Let the fire ants take you. Go out the way you took someone out. Staple your eyelids up to your forehead so you can watch. Make it pay-per-view. I'll bring the popcorn. My problem with what Joe Biden did, especially after them pardon. 3P posse. P3s of a feather flock together. A lot of these people just killed prisoners. Some murdered children. Murdered families. Some of them killed cops. Military personnel. Men, women, children. Postal workers. I mean, what kind of fuck you gotta be to kill a mailman? Some of these took out over a dozen people. This fucker from Louisiana that kidnapped and killed a 12-year-old girl. We did it, Joe! This administration is a fucking joke. January 20th cannot get here fast enough. These families needed fucking justice. Don't bring their family back. Fucking life in prison for child murder, cop killers, fucking slap in the face. I wish these people would fuck off so far that they stay so fucking fucked that they can't fucking fuck no more. Is that fucking crystal clear?
Thoughts?
Well, it kind of went on repeat there on words, but yeah, I think we all get the point. It's not a good situation we're in. I don't understand how people got so comfortable with the concept of just letting whomever come across. I think that they honestly didn't understand. They were so wrapped up in their hearts and thinking, oh, we have to save these people, not understanding that not everybody's thinking like they do. They can't think that other people think differently than them. And so they end up getting all of us in kind of a little bit of a lurch. And we can't let this happen anymore. Like once everything gets cleaned up, we have to make sure that our border is secure. And I don't know if the wall is going to be able to do that.
That wasn't even about migrants, though. That was death row inmates.
I
He
know.
pardoned 37 out of the 40.
I understand that. But the thing is it's like, what's the difference where they come from? It's all of it. And I know I got a little sidetracked on the previous video, but it just, somebody getting set on fire kind of really bothers me a lot. And it's just, our system is so jacked up. It's really jacked up. Chachi says the Biden legacy will be remembered in a very bad light. Honestly, I think that we're going to have our history told as if we were taken over for a period of time. I think it will be made a little bit more clear that the nation's sovereignty was stolen by a giant corporation, probably headed by the Rothschilds. Their name has been coming out more and more. And since they're losing, these are the moves of people who have lost and want to just watch the world burn because they can't have it anymore. And I think that this, I mean, we know they're going to make everything as miserable as they can between now and January 20th.
Mm-hmm.
Then the party ends for them, and then our party begins. Just make sure that you're paying attention to everything that's going on, because they're letting all these people out, and this isn't going to be the end of it.
Exactly.
And they're going to try to play games after January 20th. It's not going to be a light switch.
Exactly.
But the mentality will change very quickly, provided we make it to January 20th.
Yeah, I know. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I got Senator Kennedy.
All right.
Wait, Steph says, I think we'll remember America coming back from the ruins of ashes.
That's what I think it's going to end up being like, is that we really did lose our nation. I think we have to be honest about that, so that way people understand how easy it can go away and people might not even notice.
Exactly. Okay.
Probably be the best way to remember it.
Yeah.
Senator Kennedy. Yes.
Senator Kennedy. Let's listen.
All right.
Who told the CEO of Exxon to, quote, eat shit, Darren, close quote. I think these are yes or no, or I don't know questions. Last 3 years, unfortunately, the United States economy has experienced substantial inflation. Is that correct? And
Yes, sir.
that inflation is man-made, is it not?
Any inflation is man-made, sir.
And that man's name is Joe Biden, is it not?
Cannot answer that, sir.
Okay. Since President Biden took office, average electricity prices in the United States are up 29.4%. Are they not?
I'll have to check the data and get back to you on that, sir.
And isn't it true that electricity prices have increased under President Biden, have increased 13 times faster than the previous 7 years?
I'll have to check the data, sir.
Okay. And the National Energy Assistant Directors Association. I don't know if you're familiar with them. I've checked them out. They're a reputable group. They say that the average United States electricity bill will go up 10% this year and 10% next year. Is that correct?
Again, I'm not familiar with the data, but I can point out, sir, that in Europe,
I'm not interested in
Europe,
I'm interested
prices are 2.5% to 3% higher.
I'm interested in our people right now who are having to sell blood in order to pay their electricity bill.
Goodness.
A substantial portion of this inflation in electricity, up 30% since President Biden took office, is directly related to his energy policies. Is it not?
Energy prices fluctuate based on supply and demand of all sources of energy. Yes.
I think it has nothing. Is that a yes or no?
It's a very complicated economic
I
question.
understand. Give me an answer. Did President Biden's policies contribute to the inflation, or didn't they?
Both Republican and Democratic administrations infuse the economy with trillions of dollars, which contributes to the inflation.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't believe any Republicans voted for the Inflation Reduction Act. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Well, I do. $1.2 trillion. Green New Deal. No Republicans voted for. You want to amend your answer?
I'll amend my answer that under President Trump and under President Biden, trillions of dollars were infused into the economy
Under Trump,
and
electricity prices
contributed
went
to
up 5%
inflation.
over 4 years, and under Biden, they went up 30% over 3 years. Which is better?
Say again, under Trump, please.
Under Trump, electricity prices went up 5%. Under Biden, they went up 30% over 3 years. Which is better?
Well, clearly, lower rise in electricity prices better.
All right.
However,
Dr. Super, let me ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
You tweeted in support of climate defiance. That's an entity that the Brookings Institute has called a radical climate change group. Is that correct?
I don't recall, I'm afraid.
Okay. Would this be the same climate defiance that I'm looking at your tweet, you tweeted in support of them. Would this be the same climate defiance that called Senator Joe Biden, quote, a sick fuck?
I don't know, but as I
Would this
mentioned
be
in my-
the same climate defiance that called Senator Lisa Murkowski a murderer?
I do not know. As I said in my statement.
Would this be the same climate defiance who?
Thoughts?
Well,
Quote, sick fuck.
Senator Kennedy was having a good time there, wasn't he?
He was.
He was. I mean, I think that would probably be one of the best jobs about if you absolutely had to sell your soul and go be a congressman or senator. I think being able to grill people like that would probably make it okay-ish almost. I mean, other than the whole selling of your soul thing. But other than that, I mean, Senator Kennedy always trying to put some truths out there. Now, granted, we've seen him get tied into a little bit of stuff, but nowhere near as deep as so many of the other swamp creatures. So it's nice to see Senator Kennedy give these people the kind of congressional hearing that they should be hearing all the time. Now, it's going to change significantly moving forward in the future, just because so much is going to be stripped away. There's going to be so much so much money that's taken out of their coffers in which to be able to do these ridiculous, things that are one-sided. And truly a smaller budget would make it easier to keep track of the money. We've all been bitching about how much the government has been just bloviated beast that nobody can deal with. So it's nice to see, and I hope to see more of this from people other than Senator Kennedy. But yeah, anyways, well, he just hit the nail on the head. Yes, it did. We need more dudes like Kennedy. Yeah. Kennedy's awesome. I think that
He does tell it like it is, Jenny.
I think that once a lot of the money disappears out of the system, I think that that's going to make people naturally want to not be part of the government as much. Hey, Dee, thanks for joining. As usual, I show up at the right time. You're always right on time.
She must have heard him say.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. He does, Steph and Jenny. He tells it exactly like it is.
Yeah, he's cut from the same cloth as the old school founding fathers.
Yes,
and I think
Chachi.
that in the end, that's all we're really looking for is we want people who want a small federal government, because after all, government is the problem.
Exactly. Hey,
Always has
Angie,
been. Hey,
glad
Angie.
you're here.
Thanks for joining. Anyway,
Are you ready?
yes, ma'am.
Let's listen.
All right, let's do this.
You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, but you have not been called to do all things. Just because, I'm trying to free somebody, especially a people pleaser. Just because it's a problem doesn't mean it's yours to solve. Okay? Hear me. Sometimes the answer to your problem is knowing that's not my problem. That's not it. I don't care if it's your mama. That's not your problem. I don't care if it's your brother. That's not your problem. Is that being selfish? No, that's having stewardship awareness. I'm stewarding my problems. I'm stewarding my storms. I'm stewarding what I'm graced for. No wonder you're drowning in tiredness. You're trying to be everybody's anchor. You're trying to be everybody's anchor. You find yourself tired. That's how you burn out. That's how you burn out. Or this is a big one. This is a real big one. When you can't discern what hell sent. See, this is how the enemy exhausts our heart's ability to love. Because we love what the enemy sent. We love what was really the enemy being a puppeteer behind it. We love it. So watch this. You spend all of this effort, all of this time, and all of this energy on what was never yours. You spend all of this effort and all of this energy on what was going to leave anyway. So by the time what is yours and what God does send, your patience left with what was it? Talk, Holy Spirit. So when it's something that God gives you, you don't have the patience for it because you use all of it on what was never yours.
Thoughts, sir?
All right. But actually, I'm curious about your thoughts, ma'am.
My thoughts are it's very true. And unfortunately, I have a bad habit of being that people pleaser and trying to do everything for everyone. And sometimes you have to say no. And that's a hard thing for me because I don't want to be the person to ever let anyone down because I have such a big heart that I feel like if I let someone down, I'm not doing the right thing.
I love you. You're amazing. Apparently, a lot of people needed to hear this message tonight. And you know what? That's great because we all have messages that we need to hear. And I think that it's important to recognize that what is ours and what is other people's. And we come from a place with a good heart because we want to help the world. I mean, look around. Look, the world needs some love, right?
Yeah.
And so we go out of our way to give the world as much love as we can, but the world seems to reject that, or the world doesn't know how to accept that. And so we end up burning ourselves out, just like he's saying. So that way, once it's finally time to deal with the things that are part of your life and for you to be dealing with specifically, then you don't have the energy for that. And I think that it's extremely important that, it's okay to have that loving heart, but it's also okay to, make sure that you're protecting your heart first. Like that's what's going to make this whole thing work and it's an old phrase. You can't fill up an empty cup with an empty pitcher. And it's not to say that you are without so much as you've already spent everything that you have. So when it's time for you to take care of yourself, you find yourself lacking. And then it becomes a snowball effect. So it's a difficult thing in life to try to make sure that you're finding that proper balance. But you got to make sure that you find that balance. Otherwise, you're just screwing yourself in the end. And if you're screwing yourself and you're too busy trying to be that go-to person for everybody else, then you might find yourself not being able to be that go-to person.
Yep.
And so you got to make sure that God, self, spouse, and then the rest of everything else. These are the things. That's the order of how things should be in life.
Yep.
Jenny says, you can't please everyone. You're not pizza or chocolate, but I can make pizza.
Yep. We did.
All right. Hey, Chops, thanks for joining. Let's see. The less government is in control of, the less it matters who controls the politicians. Yeah, the less it matters who controls the politicians. Third, Sean says, I tend to fix everybody's problems because people are often too stupid to fix them themselves.
Thank you, D. Thank you.
Yeah, it's probably not that they're too stupid. It's just that they don't have the experience that the rest of us have in other things. But yeah, 100%. It's like we want to go out there and to be able to help people, but sometimes we can't. We don't have the ability. But it just wasn't time, and we have to learn how to accept that. Steph says, and actually, I needed that reminder too. And Kay, I'm the same way. I feel if I don't please everybody, then I'm not doing enough. And that was a hard thing for me to let go. It's still hard.
Miss Carol.
Hey, Carol,
You
thanks for
better-
joining.
I hope you're not driving.
I hope you're not
Straight A.
driving. D says, but now I can't please others. So, oh well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like trying to lead a horse to water and making them drink. Exactly.
Yeah, you can only do half of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, F. Clint. Tacos are for every night, sir. Every night. I love tacos.
Here we go.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Drone momentum. Frustration continues to grow.
Let's listen.
Jersey Governor Phil Murphy says the drone detection equipment they received from the federal government isn't doing much to help them find out why the mystery aircraft have been seen in his state. The FAA implemented a temporary ban on drones in parts of New Jersey and New York until mid-January. In the meantime, the federal government says the drones do not pose a public threat. The Pentagon also saying they are not U.S. military or from any known enemies. Yet there's little information regarding who is behind them. Joining me now is Brad Crispin, co-founder of the Americans for Safe Aerospace. Brad, there's a whole lot of what it isn't, but nobody's telling us what it is. Drone sightings have been reported since mid-November, yet still no clear-cut answers. The public is frustrated. People are getting frustrated. Do you think people will lose interest the longer they have to wait for answers or become more frustrated?
No, I think momentum and frustration is building on this issue, Nick. I think you said it exactly right. There have been thousands of reports from concerned citizens. While some of those are misidentifications, that's not the key story here. The key story is that this incident reveals major vulnerability in our airspace. It reveals major vulnerability in our critical infrastructure, and the percentage of what people are seeing is truly concerning. There were overflights of Picatinny Arsenal and the Trump golf course that probably sparked this incident. And it's a years running pattern of mysterious overflights of military bases and in military training ranges by unidentified objects. And pilots are concerned, members of the Senate Intelligence and Armed Services Committee have concerned, and they've been raising the warning for years.
Okay, Brad, you've been studying this for a while, like you said, since the beginning, and the reports started to come in. Do you believe that this is what the government is hoping for, that the public will actually stop asking questions? And do you believe they actually know what's behind it?
You know, I think the most concerning possibility is that they don't know what's behind it. And when you look at their statements, I think that's a real possibility when they say we have no evidence of a threat, we have no evidence of this, but yet they put up these temporary no-fly zones to allow for the detection and shooting down of drones that they otherwise don't have the authority for. So I do think that there's an issue here. I think that's self-evident. And I do think they're concerned about the misidentifications, adding a lot of noise to the signal. But they don't have this issue under control. And the most recent head of NORAD, General Van Herk, just went on CNN to say exactly that. Everybody's pointing the finger. No one's taking responsibility. This is a real problem.
And you and I know that you can't fly drones in the district, but that's just one area. But because people are seeing them over military bases, and like you said, over Mar-a-Lago. Now, the FAA issued the drone ban last week. Since then, has there been fewer drone sightings?
I do think we're starting to see a reduction in sightings, but the numbers, remain high as people are looking up and looking at the skies. Again, I think only a fraction of these are truly concerning, but people want answers, and let's identify what's in our skies. There shouldn't be unknown objects operating over military bases, operating over critical infrastructure. There's no reason for it.
And then the federal government gave New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy detection instruments and machines to use, and he says they're not working. The technology isn't providing much information. Why do you think that is? Is it outdated? Is it just ineffective?
Well, I think it's meant to detect small drones, class 1 and 2 drones. And, that may not be, everything that's at play here. But there are going to be huge limits in terms of the detection capabilities, depending on what kind of active or passive technologies they're using to detect these drones.
And Brad, like you said, I think that if they're expecting the public's interest to wane, they are sadly mistaken. Brad Crispin, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. Also, don't.
Thoughts?
There we go. Okay. Thoughts.
I can't believe you beat it by 30 minutes, Mike. That's awesome.
Only 30. Anyway. Let's see. Sean. Thank you, dear. Sean says, my guess is that they're American government drones that are part of SAP, Special Access Program, in an attempt to bridge the gap in Russia's drone supremacy. I think that the drones are a distraction, 100%. I do believe that some of it's, I do believe that some of it's ours, but I also believe that some of it's from third countries. But I have no evidence one way or another. The fact that drones stopped, or that the number of drones they believe dropped after the FAA said, no more drones. I'm sure that a lot of those sightings are airplanes and civilians running their drones as well, because they just want to have fun. It seemed like a free for all. So a lot of confusion, but I believe a lot of this confusion is to take more control away from the people in terms of what people can do with the drones, what the citizens can do with the drones, and having to ask, Uncle Sugar for permission to be able to do the things that we want to do. Also, in the meantime, trying to set us up a little bit with the whole alien invasion that we're all just waiting with bated breath for. And our popcorn futures have gotten ridiculous waiting on said Project Blue Beam alien invasion, but we'll see how it works out.
Yeah.
Heavy Christmas traffic. All right, you done good then.
Yeah.
Chachi says, I feel they're leading us to something. The missing Malaysian airline story is making its rounds again. It is, isn't it? Yeah, I saw something about that. I have a feeling that, they're trying to set us up. What exactly they're setting us up for, I have no idea. I don't know if it's going to be some kind of a Christmas present, from Krampus or whatever the case may be. I don't trust these people. But I think that we all kind of have that feeling right now where it's like we're waiting for the big one to drop. We're waiting for that big thing that they've been leading us up to, the scare event that Q mentioned. But I have a feeling that the left's got something up their sleeves. We just got to wait and see what it is.
Yep. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Why did Mike Johnson push for keeping the Global Engagement Center's censorship operation? That was terrible. Should I do that again?
Nope.
No? Okay, whatever.
You ready?
Moving on. It's the holidays. Forgive me.
Yep.
Obviously, the Democrats want this because they want to censor us, but Mike Johnson kept that in the bill intentionally. He only discarded it after we all raised our voices. Why does he want it?
The answer to this is a lot more complicated than I think people want to hear. About a week ago, the State Department filed a notice in court that informing the court and the plaintiffs in a case suing them for censoring American news companies. The Daily Wire and the Federalist sued the State Department for the Global Engagement Center's censorship operations, which targeted them. The State Department responded to the court saying that it is substantially likely the Global Engagement Center will not be reauthorized. The State Department has transmitted a notice to Congress regarding its plan for the potential forthcoming termination of Global Engagement Center and its plan to realign the center's staff and funding to other department offices and bureaus for similar work. Basically, the Global Engagement Center network will continue whether there is a formal office or not.
Thoughts?
Okay. Censorship, it's going to continue. They're going to keep up with what they can while they have the opportunity to do it. They are sore losers. We know this. They're going to be as miserable as they possibly can for the rest of humanity. And if they can, screw it up just enough that they might get the ability to get a toehold back into this neck of the woods in the future. But we have to maintain the course. We have to stay true to who we are, keep doing the things that we've been doing. Make sure you're getting out there, getting the information out to the people who are still in disbelief. Lord knows I have family and friends that still ain't there yet. We're still fighting that good fight of trying to get the information out to the people who are in disbelief. But we're in a target-rich environment right now because there are so many lies. more and more people are waking up every day. And that's the momentum that was created by everybody being active and making sure that people are seeing the truth and not accepting their ridiculousness and telling us, like the vaccines are good for you and shit like that. But, whatever, just keep on. And that way they don't have that opportunity. And the more people that are aware, the more people that have eyes on the situation, the less likely they are to be able to pull something off. The more likely people are to say, you know what, this alien invasion is looking like a bunch of bullshit. I heard my conspiracy friends talking about Project Bluebeam, and it's looking like it's some kind of light show. If we can get to that point, they have no power. They have no power. It's just the power that we give them inside of our head.
Yep.
And all we can do is strengthen people against the lies.
Exactly. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Just another reason to hate the medical industrial complex. Oh, like we needed another one.
Ready?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
So apparently health insurance companies have not learned their lesson from the most recent events that took place in the streets of New York. They're getting more creative about how to deny your claims or just not authorize your treatment at all. I'm going on information given to me by Blue Cross. I am a physician. When we physicians ask for a treatment to be authorized by an insurance company and they deny authorization, what happens at that point is that we are asked to do a peer-to-peer review, meaning that we, the doctor asking for the treatment, have to speak with the doctor who is employed by the insurance company, who is there only to say no. Now, this always has taken place on a scheduled call, and it has to be scheduled around the insurance company doctor's schedule, not the doctor who's actually working and seeing patients. Because God forbid we inconvenience the insurance company. But now Blue Cross is saying that they will only do their peer-to-peer reviews by calling the doctor who is asking for the treatment to be authorized. And they will only call once. And they won't tell you when they're calling. And they won't tell you what number they're calling from. So if you're a doctor seeing patients and you have your phone on do not disturb because you're seeing patients, or you just don't answer numbers that you don't recognize, and you're seeing patients and you don't want to interrupt a patient visit, you're going to miss the call. And guess what? The treatment will not be authorized.
Thoughts?
Wow. Well, congratulations, everybody. You now get to experience the VA medical system. Why isn't it exciting for all of us? That's great. I think that this is going to be one of those absolutely necessary parts of all the BS that we've been going through. I can't tell you. Oh, actually, I can't. I'm about to tell you. As a matter of fact, I had one of the doctors tell me that they are told by these kinds of very phone calls that they need to reduce their rating. It's not that the doctors don't care. As a matter of fact, the doctors do care. They do care very much, but they also care about making sure that their bills get paid because they don't want to be bankrupt and destitute. So they're backed into a corner just like so many other people that big pharma, big medicine, no different than, the military industrial complex. All of these things, they're all the same. They're all owned by the modern version of the East India Trading Company. And they're the ones that are making the decision. And it's done by proxy through a bunch of heartless doctors that say, yeah, money matters more than people's livelihoods or health. And this is going to be one of the things that ends up separating the wheat from the chaff. It's going to make people very angry. And once people recognize that this is how the medical systems works, I think it's great. I think that people do need to see that it's no different. And I don't want people to go through misery, just like I didn't want that lady to be burnt in a fire in New York subway. But the problem is the people in New York were content with their sanctuary city status until they had to actually do some of the sanctuarying. right? And of course, there were a lot of good people in New York, Jenny. We know, there's a lot of great people in New York and in the city proper, not just upstate, that actually are decent human beings, and they are being forced to be around this. But they're actually getting people to pay attention to them now because they had all of these illegals bust up there. So now people will understand what a government run medical system looks like. Everybody always uses Canada as, oh, well, they got free medicine in Canada. Well, yeah, but look at everybody from Canada
It takes you
leaves.
like 2 years to get in to see a doctor.
Yeah, and so everybody leaves Canada. So now people are going to have to see what these kinds of, you can't tell them, you have to show them. And sadly, you know what? It's a big shit sandwich, and we all got to take a bite.
Ugh.
Chop says the Affordable Care Act, that fucking joke, anyways, has evolved by a single level. The Affordable Care Act has it's going to be a very permanent part of the conversation of American history in the future. Steph says, I had a nurse practitioner here recently. When I was trying to tell her something about myself, she looked at me and said, are you trying to tell me how to doctor? You said,
Doctor you.
Or how to doctor you? I said, actually, yes, I am. I don't know how that's going to work out, but yeah. And Steph says, I know this body. I've had this body for 58 years. There it is.
Yep.
Hey, Nets, Pudnut, how you doing? Thanks for joining. There we go.
Sean
says that he's Canadian. It's bad here. Well, hey, since you was here, what are your thoughts on the whole 51st state shenanigans that have been talked about? I'm curious as to what you got to say. Yeah, yeah. Whatever.
Well, that's
Anyways.
what would happen.
Well, they would just be America. Steph says, I was trying to tell her what worked for me in the past. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
There shouldn't be anything wrong with that. Hey, doc, it's since the insurance companies suck and we all have to switch our doctors every so often because you get dropped here, you get picked up there, you get dropped there in a couple months, whatever. It's ridiculous. So I'm just trying to catch you up with what I understand about my body and what other doctors have told me. I know I'm not a doctor, so cool your jets, doc, and recognize that we're all trying to do the best we can. But it's something where we all need to learn how to work with each other a little bit better.
Yeah.
January 20th, 2025 at 2 p.m. It will start getting better.
Yes, Mike.
Yes, Eastern time. I can't wait for Pacific but God forbid Hawaii time.
Oh, no.
Miserable. Steph says, well, I'm allergic to a lot of things. So I was trying. I'm not judging you at all, Steph.
No.
Not one little bit.
You have every right.
That's what I'm saying. Is you have every right to do that. And the doctors need to calm down.
Let's see. Sean says, I think it's funny. I'd love to be American and have rights like free speech.
And so would we.
And the 2A. And 2A.
Yeah, 2A. You got to have the Second Amendment.
Got to have the Second Amendment.
Got to have the Second Amendment. But yeah, the freedom of speech. Yeah, we feel for y'all. I know that on this show once upon a time is like, I don't know what we can do for our Canadian brothers up north, but the way everything's been playing out, it looks like it's all going to change. And with Castro Jr., I think the real truth is going to come out about him. I think he's only there for a little bit longer. I can't imagine that. He's going to be around much longer. Anyways.
You ready?
Yes.
Let's listen to Craig.
All right, we could go for some Craig.
God reached down so you could be lifted up. That God took our sins so we could take his righteousness. That God was born into poverty so we could experience his eternal riches. And God didn't announce this message to royalty in a palace, but to shepherds who were outcast in a field so the world would know that no one is too far from God's reach and no one is too low for God's love. Come on. And no sin is too great for God's grace.
Thoughts?
So no sin is too great for God's grace. I mean, This is something we kind of go through, and I think that this is a very, very human thing. It's like, yes, but I am not seeing this or that or the other thing, so he must not have forgiven me, or something like that. And that is our personal thoughts limiting our God's level of forgiveness. If you are doing your part to try to come out of living in the desires of the flesh, and you're fighting that every single day, he's forgiven you. Like, you can't screw up enough to, like, where he's like, oh, you know what? I didn't see that one coming. Yeah, you know what? I can't forgive you. It's like it's written absolutely nowhere in there that is like that's the case.
And there
Nowhere.
is no centimeter.
No, there is no centimeter. It's about we need to, what is our focus on? And as long as we're sticking with, leading with a rational heart, not just ridiculous heart, but that rational heart, he gave us a mind and a heart. He wants us to use both. And as long as we're trying to, overcome the things in the world that are going to be only for our interest, then of course you're forgiven. It's just you need to learn how to forgive yourself. And I think that's one of the real issues right there is have you forgiven yourself?
Exactly. And sometimes that can be hard.
No, it can be one of the most challenging of things.
Yep. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Dr. Asim Malhotra says higher LDL in older adults is linked to a statistically lower death risk.
Ready?
That's the good cholesterol, by the way.
Yep.
If high cholesterol, high LDLs doesn't cause a heart attack, and you potentially can see that number rise without freaking out, then what does cause a heart attack?
Yeah, great question. Before I answer that specifically, I said something interesting that I found myself and a number of international scientists in 2016 in BMJ. We actually looked at whether LDL cholesterol had a risk for heart disease in over 60s, partly because the original studies where cholesterol was, exposed as a potential risk factor or as a major risk factor for heart disease. What wasn't publicized, Megan, in those original studies from Framingham, Massachusetts, that started in 1948 and went on for decades, is that once people hit 50, as their cholesterol dropped, their death rates increased. And we thought, this is a bit unusual. Why is no one really talking about this? So we went back and looked at, up-to-date data. And what we found, one, was there was no association with LDL cholesterol and heart disease in over 60s. But the most interesting finding was the higher one's LDL in older population, the lower the risk of death statistically, right? So the question is, how is that possible? Well, one of the things that's been forgotten because of all this focus on heart disease and this flawed hypothesis is that cholesterol has a really important role in the immune system. Older people are more vulnerable to dying from infections. And there's also an association, I must stress that we don't know if it's causal, but there is an association with low cholesterol and cancer, which again is likely linked to the immune system. So that just to muddy the waters a bit further, that just lowering cholesterol for the sake of it may actually be harmful. It's not that it has no detrimental effect. Now, what is a risk factor, major risk factor for heart disease? It's a process in the body called insulin resistance. So it's essentially over time, your body becoming resistant to the hormone insulin. And that is driven essentially by food, diets that are high in starch and sugar, ultra processed foods, being sedentary, and also to some degree chronic stress. And insulin itself, when it's raised chronically for a long period of time, or if you're eating a lot of junk food, it directly is toxic to the inner lining of the heart artery. So that's how it causes heart disease. And that's accepted in the literature. Why is it not well known or publicized? Because never been really an effective drug to tackle insulin resistance that has then been proven in trials to prevent heart attacks. And of course, there is no market for a healthy lifestyle really for just eating real food,
no one gets rich off that.
Absolutely. So that's really the missing link. And when I institute this plan with my patients, Megan, the lifestyle plan based upon the best evidence, and I don't say to my patients, don't take statins. I say, listen, this is the absolute benefit, without even talking about harms. I mean, harms come in as well in terms of quality of life limiting side effects in particular, like muscle fatigue, like what Tony Roll experienced. Most patients, when given that 1% figure, Megan, don't want to take the pill. And I actually write my letter back to their general practitioner and say, listen, the patient has decided they don't want to take the statin. I've given them the information, and their decision should be supported in keeping with the principles of ethical, evidence-based medical practice. So actually what the statin issue highlights is that if we were practicing true ethical evidence-based medicine in healthcare, Megan, we'd sort out the health crisis very, very quickly.
Thoughts?
Huh. Evidence-based medicine? You mean diet, exercise, and sunlight might do a lot more than, like, medicines? Say it isn't so. But like was said in the video, no money in that. Having people eat natural foods. They have been assaulting. Well, let's think of the egg. How many times in the course of your life has eggs gone from terrible for you to the best thing for you ever? And it's done this numerous times. Same thing. They don't really know what they're talking about. They got some new scientific toys and they thought that they could learn a whole bunch of stuff that just wasn't so. And they went down that route. And we're recognizing that just eating healthy and natural foods, the way foods have been since creation kind of thing. And surprise, it's what works best with you.
Mm-hmm.
We have to take care of our diet, our health, and most of that can be done simply by eating healthy.
Just 1 second, please.
All right. Steph says, yes, that's what I was trying to tell the doctor / nurse practitioner, whatever the hell she is. Yeah, I got you.
And see, that's the thing is, people do that stuff and they're like, I swear, you go to the doctor and they go back and they Google it. I really do.
They have a Dr. Google. They got their own version of Google.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, some fancy name other than Google.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. They put in a list of symptoms. You write your symptoms down. The nurse probably, types the shit in, and the doctor's given a list of whatever. And so based off of his expertise, he's going to come in, talk to you, kind of fine tune the thing and figure out what it is. But at the same time, I'm sure just as much as it shows, here's the list of possibilities, which there's nothing wrong with that. A car mechanic isn't going to remember all of the codes that are thrown, even if they're specific to a manufacturer. They're still not going to know every single thing about it, right? So they're when they're going through this Dr. Google or whatever, I'm almost positive that it says these are the drugs that are good for each one of these problems.
Exactly.
I just hope that it's not so bold as to say, here's your profit for each one of these. That would really piss me off.
Yeah.
Aaron says, doctors don't cure people. If they did, they wouldn't have any customers. Look at a 45-minute video from Ron Paul from a decade or so ago discussing how effed healthcare got when the government and insurance companies got involved. It's from around 06 or 08. I think I will try to find it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know, I understand that there's a lot out there that if we were to look behind the curtain and find the Wizard of Oz behind it, that we would be very disappointed about a lot of the things that we see. But at the same time, it is what it is.
Right. Well,
it will get righted some way, somehow.
Yep. Well, talking about looking behind the curtain,
Mhm.
can you read that, please?
Okay. Be careful with grocery store meat that looks fresh.
Ready?
No.
Oh, hold on. Oop, oop, oop.
Even the video doesn't want to play.
Buy our meat, they're like, why open it? We get a lot of questions sometimes, like when people buy our meat, they're like, why open it up and it's not red? Why isn't it red? And the reason is because the only way to keep it red is they pump gases into the packaging that artificially create a red color. So the meat naturally is never that red. When you cut it and it's first exposed to oxygen momentarily, it will bloom, it's called. It'll redden up just a little bit and then it'll instantly start to brown out unless you pump gases into the packaging for about 10 minutes and artificially create this like red pinkish color. So we get that question a lot. And it's like, they're like, your meat's not fresh because it's brown. It's like, well, actually it's way fresher. Our meat is brown because 5 minutes later it turns to that brown color and then we flash freeze it. So you're like eating meat that's like metabolic, 5 minutes old versus that red fresh meat in the grocery store might be a month old and it's sat like that, but they're using artificial gases in that packaging to create a color that's completely unnatural.
So
at
how would
grocery store
people
stuff.
know if is there anything on a package that someone
Oh no, they don't have to declare it. If your packaged meat looks bright red, then it is filled with artificial gases to create that. Meat doesn't look like that. But like no one knows that.
Looks bright red and juicy, but this piece of meat is not safe to eat. Believe it or not, it's been sitting out for 11 days. So how could it still look so fresh? It's because it's being packed and gassed in a special process that most people never heard about, using carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen, which keeps the meat looking fresh and bright red. We left 2 cuts of lamb out at room temperature. One was gas packed, the other no gas. After a few days, the untreated meat turns a dark, unappealing color, but the gas packed meat stays red, even after being left out for 8 days. The only visible sign of spoilage is the package puffing out and a bad odor when opened. We had the meat analyzed in a lab, and it's no surprise that both cuts are loaded with bacteria. The color of the meat doesn't necessarily indicate it's fresh.
Thoughts?
Well, isn't that fun? Well, we know that making an oxygen-free environment certainly changes all sorts of stuff. Oh man, boy, they're screwing us every which way they can, can't they? And it's all to save a buck or two. But I know that they're throwing food away every day because they're charging 3, 4, 5, 10 times as much as they probably should. I'm sure that groceries would be a lot cheaper if we didn't have Megacorp own all of the grocery stores. I have a feeling that a good split of all of the mega groceries would be a good thing for the American people, because the food that they give to us is not healthy.
Hey everyone, go check out his channel. Let's help our new friend out.
Hey, spicy's good.
Spicy's good. We're spicy here all the time.
Sometimes, yeah. Because they're be aware. Well, thanks for joining us, Sean. We appreciate it, and I'll definitely check your video, your channel out. Steph says, so no wonder we get sick and our stomachs hurt, and we have to go on tummy medicines because we're eating shit food. That's in a nutshell.
Yep.
In a nutshell. Aaron says, these bacteria are easy to screen for. I had some very rare herbivorous lizards gifted to me like in 2009. They were neatly ready to breed. Bought some bulk greens through a restaurant. Okay.
Yeah. You ready?
Yep.
I got Kelly.
All right.
That's better than that last video.
Yeah. Yeah, we need Jesus after that video.
Right? Ugh.
Here we go.
Hey, Christian, I know you're going through a storm right now. I know it feels like you are so far off course from where you need to be. I know that it feels like the wind and the waves are beating you up, but can I remind you of something today? Our Bible tells us that our hope and faith in Jesus is a trustworthy anchor to our souls. Here's the thing about anchors, though. When do you use one? In the middle of a storm. But what does it do? Does it get you out of the storm? No, it doesn't. It holds you right there in the middle of it. You see, you may have been praying for an escape, a quick out, get me out of the storm, Lord, but understand this. Our hope in Jesus isn't just to pull me out of the storm. Our hope in him is go through this storm with me so that this storm can build me, shape me, mold me, make me into who you've called me to be. Understand, nothing ever gets developed in your life at the beach. Work happens in the middle of a storm. Yeah, you're going through a storm today, but you're not going through it alone. Jesus is with you. And this very storm right now that the devil's trying to use to destroy you, your Father, who loves you more than anything, is going to use this to build you and make you into who he's called you to be. And I'm telling you, his hand of blessing is on your life. His favor is on your life. How can you say that? You don't know me. You got Jesus living in you, don't you? And it's true. Think about that for a minute.
Thank you, F. Clint.
Thoughts?
All right.
UF Clint,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
There we go. All right. So, let's see, get my bearings here. Refresh, please.
Going through a storm.
There we go. Going through the storm. I appreciate it. Anyways, so going through the storms, we go through this conversation quite a bit around here. There is a storm that's going on in the world around us, and it can be challenging. And it's not just like the storm that we see going on with, nationwide or global. We all have these storms in our own life, and it is about that faith and putting your faith in God to make sure that you can get through it. And it may not be easy. And like he was saying in the video, it's like you don't, or he didn't say this one in this video, but he was getting at it anyways. Like you don't learn how to be a better sailor when your ship's in port. You got to go out and you got to deal with the rough seas to get better with what's going on in your life. It is those challenges. It is that growth that we seek. And if we're not growing, then we're really not doing what we're here for. And I'm assuming that that's probably a very big disappointment to our creator. Steph said, well, they said the storm is coming, but I'm saying the storm is here and been here. Yeah, it has been here.
It has.
It has been here. But it's how much are you willing to embrace the storm?
Yeah.
That's-
Embrace the suck.
Yeah, embrace the suck. Yeah, buckle up. This is actually a calm before the storm. Sadly, F Clan, I think you're right. I just feel it that they're going to try something really stupid here real soon. And just, buckle up. It'll be fine. Have that faith.
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Big Pharma whistleblower Callie Means reveals the most profitable dynamic in the health industry.
Ready?
Yeah.
Cigarette industry actually gave us the ultra processed food industry. So in the 1980s, cigarette companies actually bought out food companies. And in the 1990s, the two largest food companies in the world were R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris. And what did those companies do? They shifted their scientists, as cigarette smoking was declining, they shifted them to the food department, and they made our food addictive. And then they shifted their lobbyists to bribe the USDA to say this crap is healthy. What has this given us? It's given us record rates in 2024 of diabetes, of cancer, of autism, of autoimmune conditions, of every chronic disease is at an all-time high this year among kids. Why hasn't the healthcare industry spoken out? One simple reason. A sick child, a child with chronic disease, is the most profitable dynamic in the healthcare industry because they suffer, they rack up comorbidities, but they don't die. It is a moral blind spot, Rachel, that this isn't the issue we are talking about more than any other because our kids are under threat.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
All right. And it's not just our kids, everybody's under threat. We are under threat by the food that we eat. You just got to look at the box and it'll tell you. Bioengineered food source. You already know that it's not a natural food. And I know I'm preaching to the choir on this one here. The grocery stores, it would be nice to be able to go to a grocery store and not feel like I'm trying to navigate a minefield because I don't know exactly what kind of food I'm picking up in my hand. I know it says that it's a apple, but when I cut into this apple and I make a slice of it, is it going to bend, 180 degrees? Is it one of these newfangled rubber apples? What about the fancy eggs that I didn't eat? Those weren't eggs. They came in a shell and they had a clear liquid and they had a yellow ball in the middle, but it wasn't no damn egg. And I'm tired of feeling like that. They looked plastic after we cooked them. Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
Steph says, I'm going to put it out here. Stock up right now if you can on the essentials. Always be stocking up on the essentials. And make sure you're rotating through your stock. Every time you open something up, make sure you got a new one in store.
Yeah.
F. Clint says, at least we're ready-ish for it, Steph. Imagine the normies going through this crap. That would be, that's kind of one of the things that's also going to help wake people up in terms of they need to be responsible for their own survival.
Yeah.
People need to pay attention. How much food stocks do we have? That needs to be a normal part of everyday life. That's one of the things that I love about the Mormon faith is the fact that they teach their people to be prepared. And it's the way it should be. The Bible says as much. It's just a lot of people just don't care.
Yep.
Aaron says, would be nice to go into a grocery store and not need a degree in biochemistry to understand what shit they're trying to sell me disguised as food. 100%.
Yep. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Flashback. Tom Cruise exposes Big Pharma to an antagonistic Matt Lauer.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
We are today, where I talk out against drugs and psychiatric abuses of electric shocking people, okay, against their will, of drugging children with them not knowing the effects of these drugs. Do you know what Adderall is? Do you know Ritalin? Do you know now that Ritalin is a street drug? Do you understand that?
The difference is this was not
Matt,
against
Matt,
her
I'm
will,
asking-
though.
Matt, I'm
But this
asking-
wasn't
Matt, I'm
against
asking you a
Brooke's will.
question. Matt, I'm asking you a question.
I understand there's abuse of all of these things.
No, you see, here's the problem. You don't know the history of psychiatry. I do. All it does is mask the problem, Matt. And if you understand the history of it, it masks the problem. That's what it does. That's all it does. You're not getting to the reason why. There is no such thing as a chemical imbalance. Start talking about chemical imbalance, you have to evaluate and read the research papers on how they came up with these theories, Matt. Okay? That's what I've done. Then you go and you say, where's the medical test? Where's the blood test that says how much Ritalin you're supposed to get? And there's ways of vitamins and through exercise and various things. I'm not saying that that isn't real. Drugs aren't the answer. That these drugs are very dangerous. They're mind-altering, antipsychotic drugs. And there are ways of doing it without that so that we don't end up in a brave new world.
Thoughts?
All right. So, never heard that before with Tom Cruise, but I will say he's 100% true. We recognize that the big pharma industry is not trying to cure anybody. Otherwise, there would be a lot more cured people, and there wouldn't be such a great need for so many advertisements by the pharmaceutical industry to have people go talk to their doctor about the latest and greatest drug that's come out. Never mind the anal seepage and all the other problems that they tell you really fast at the end of the commercial. That doesn't matter. Just make sure that you're continuing to get medicated in perpetuity so that way you can feed the machine.
Right.
Tom Cruise was spitting the truth out there. Those drugs are not good for people. And he wasn't going to let Matt Lauer kind of bulldoze him there. I'm happy to see that. Don't know much about Tom Cruise in terms of all of the conspiracy stuff. I know that the Scientology thing, if nothing else, he's been exposing Scientology. Like people were asking what kind of weird shit happens over there that Tom Cruise ended up like that. But Tom Cruise has been trying to tell people what's really going on too.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously.
Yeah. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that, please?
RFK Jr. asks why Bill Gates and the CIA were hosting Event 201 together in 2019, right before the Rona.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's listen.
This is what the National Security Agency is saying, that they believe that September 12th was the day that it actually began circulating.
Okay.
A month later, you have in New York City, Bill Gates hosting a coronavirus pandemic simulation. At that, his co-host is Avril Haines, the deputy director of the CIA. What is the CIA doing at a public health forum? They don't do public health. They do coup d'etat. Now Avril Haines is the top spy in America. She is the one who hid the torture tapes from Abu Ghraib, during that CIA scandal. So that she now is the head of the National Security Agency, top spy in the country. She's also in charge of the coronavirus response. Oh, at the simulation, you have Avril Haines, you have people from all the social media companies, you have people from the pharmaceutical companies, mainly Johnson & Johnson, the biggest one. They do, and you have another guy, peculiar guy, George Gale, who's the head of the Chinese CDC.
Oh man, he sounds sneaky.
So George Gale must have known, that this was circulating at that point. By the way, any of your listeners who does not believe what I'm saying can go and look up Event 201. It's still on YouTube.
And this was before the pandemic.
It was after it started circulating, but none of us knew about it till
Okay,
January.
so this is before this is after the NSA had said that this had occurred.
The NSA now says, looking back,
I see, this had
this
occurred.
is when it occurs.
And
at
this-
that time, they didn't know.
So then there
We
was a
didn't,
get
the
together.
world did not know until around January 3rd.
So then there was a big get together of some.
So then they're all together planning here's how we're going to handle a coronavirus pandemic if it happens.
Was Fauci there or no?
Fauci was not there, but there were people from his agency there. So, and the interesting thing is, there was no discussion of public health. They weren't saying, how are we going to get repurposed medications? How are we going to link 11 million doctors, frontline physicians around the world on a communication grid so that we can quickly figure out what's working, what's working in Bangladesh, what's working in Argentina, what are the best protocols, what are the best repurposed medications that seem effective against
Right, like what's already working against this type of thing that we could ask people to get prepared and get on now to help themselves.
Well, no, but even when it starts, if a coronavirus pandemic starts, you want to be able to talk to all the doctors who are treating it around the world and find out, because there may be a guy in Argentina, which there was, Dr. Carvalho,
who's got good intel,
who was giving ivermectin to people. He gave it to 700 frontline healthcare workers, and he gave a placebo to 458. And of the 700 who got it, not one of them got COVID. Of the 400 who didn't got it, 53% got COVID. So he knew that very early on, but that wasn't being communicated. And if you were Fauci and really wanted to do a public health response, you'd be connecting all these doctors and mining what is the best intelligence, what's the best way to treat people, how do we avoid hospitalizations, how do we avoid deaths.
And you're saying they were just connecting more of the business side of it.
They weren't. The only thing they were doing was they were saying, how do we use a pandemic to clamp down totalitarian controls, to essentially execute a coup d'etat against democracy? How do we get rid of the Bill of Rights? Oh,
you think that they brought that up in this meeting?
Listen,
I'm not saying that
nobody should believe me on anything. They should go and do the research themselves. And you go to Event 201, and here's what you'll see. The fourth simulation that day, they took breaks. There was a total of four. The fourth one is the longest one. That whole simulation is, how do you get the social media companies to censor dissent? And how specifically do you get them to not talk about the fact that this was a lab-generated virus? The George Gao says that, and this is what they're talking about for 2 hours. This is in October.
What was their fear? That if people thought it was a lab-generated virus?
Then they would start pointing fingers and blaming not only the Chinese, but blaming public health officials who were all funding, those studies in Wuhan.
Oh, I see.
It was not just Fauci who was funding the gain-of-function studies. It was the USAID, which is a CIA conduit. It was DTRA, the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. And it was the Pentagon through DARPA and BARDA. So they were giving hundreds of millions of dollars to develop coronavirus superbugs that could cause pandemics.
Thoughts?
Nothing new and exciting that hasn't already been discussed a million times over. But thing is he's getting that information out there. He now has a lot more subject matter, I guess, expertise.
Yes.
Now that he's being appointed as, like our new health secretary, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, it's going to make it a lot more easy for people to believe what he's putting out there. He's talking about, the conspiracy that has been to silence everybody. We just got to get him in there. Then it'll make all the difference in the world, because then all the evidence will be front and center, and he can say it from that official state, that official position. And I think that will definitely help some people out. But there's going to be a lot of people who are going to hold on to the narrative that they did the right thing, because they could never be fooled by all of these things. And so the battle will continue to play itself out until people finally get it.
Exactly. Are you ready?
Yep.
Can you read that, please?
All right. Do you eat crumble cookies? You better watch this video.
Let's listen.
Holy shit, crumble cookies. Why is this in your food? Banana cream pie was baffling to me. I swear to God, this has 60 ingredients. Vegetable oil, soybean and palm oil, mono and diglycerides, yellow 5, yellow 6, soybean oil, titanium dioxide. It's banned in Europe, by the way. The European Food and Safety Authority, which is leaps and bounds ahead of what the U.S. is doing for food safety, found it, quote, no longer safe to eat, based on hundreds of scientific studies showing that it has genotoxic effects, meaning that it has the ability to damage your DNA to the point of leading to cancer.
Thoughts?
So much of the food. You really do have to make everything from scratch. Otherwise, you're just playing
Russian roulette.
Well, I'm going to say this one's American roulette. Monsanto. You're playing Monsanto roulette. Do you want to play Monsanto roulette with your life? Go ahead. Buy all that crap. Buy it in a jar. Buy it in a can. Buy it in a box. I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Despite all of the evidence that's out there that says that you shouldn't do that. Yeah, it's easy, it's convenient, but maybe, just maybe, you should consider your health more than you consider the convenience. That's the thing that really needs to get into the people's psyche. It's kind of like RFK Jr. Do your own research, do your own cooking.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not easy. But then again, maybe it shouldn't be easy to have all of these terrible foods that you can just plop in your face. Got to take care of the body temple, folks.
Yep. Exactly.
No matter how inconvenient it may be.
Right. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
All right.
God is saying to you today, I will put you together in front of those who broke you. Don't think it wasn't seen by me. You will not only recover, but you will flourish. In the places where you felt abandoned and defeated, you will stand strong and victorious. Remember, my child, my plans for you are to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. Let your heart be at peace, for I am with you in every step of this journey, mending every fracture, healing every wound, and restoring every lost hope. Where you were once shattered, now you will shine like a beacon, reflecting my love and strength. Trust in me, for I am your faithful protector, your healer, and your redeemer. Do not dwell on the past or the pain it brought. Instead, lift your eyes to the horizon, where my promises unfold. You will see that my grace is sufficient for you, even in your weakest moments. Let your spirit rejoice, for you are being rebuilt stronger than ever, not just to withstand the trials, but to help others who walk in similar paths. If you receive this message, comment.
Thoughts.
There it is. That's the reason why you're going through it. It's not for you. It's not being so self-centered. It's so that you can help other people that are going through these problems.
It's not about you, Stephen.
Recognize that we go through these problems so that we can overcome them. And once we overcome these issues in our lives, all of these challenges, and we do it in a manner where it's done by faith, and then it's easier for us to go talk to people about the strength of faith and how it can get you through all of the trials in life. The only thing is, well, you have to have faith and recognize it's not about your trials. It's about the fact that you have that strength and ability to help other people get out of the problems in their life, help them get out of the ruts that they're in. After all, what's the point of having these experiences if only you experience them and there's no other point behind that, but beyond that? That would be hollow and miserable.
Yeah.
But if you can provide a value added to other people because of it, then you turn that problem into a strength.
Yeah.
It really is that easy.
It is.
But then trying to put it into practice is another story altogether.
Easier said than done.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
Paxton says, debanked, indicted, sued by the SEC, investigated by the FBI, and impeached by Republicans.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Before I was AG, Attorney General of Texas, I had never even had a speeding ticket or a parking ticket. I'd never been in trouble in my life. I've become AG. I First, I get debanked by 4 different banks. Then I get indicted. I get sued by the SEC. They try to take away my law license, which they're still trying to do. The FBI investigates me for 4 years under the Biden administration. And then I get impeached by supposed Republicans. I was shocked when this started happening because I was thinking, I'm in America. Not only am I in America, but I'm in Texas. Actually, a quick aside, when I first met the president and his wife, I gave them, you know, the red hats that y'all are wearing that says Make America Great. I gave them a little different version, and it said, in the same color, same style, it said, Make America Texas. That's not a bad thing. So my experience, my most recent experience, a year and a half ago, I was impeached by the Texas House after just being overwhelmingly elected. And they did this without any due process. I don't think anybody suffered less due process than I had. They did it in 3 days at the very end of session over a holiday weekend. I wasn't allowed to come in with any evidence. They didn't interview any of the witnesses. They didn't swear them in. We didn't know who they were. They put a gag order on me so I couldn't respond. And they did it during a period of time after my campaign where I'd just been elected by the people of Texas overwhelmingly, when I had no money. And because of the rules during session, you can't go raise money. And I don't know if you've ever tried to hire lawyers without money. It's not very easy. And despite all that, by the grace of God and because of the amazing people of Texas, despite the fact that the politicians wanted to take me out, the establishment, I survived it, and on all 20 counts, I was cleared.
Thoughts?
So he's standing here to tell the tale about all the things that he went through. Let's see. Debanked, indicted, sued by the Security and Exchange Commission, investigated by the FBI, and impeached. Awful, tiring list of everything that he went through. But he's standing there telling a tale. He's still the Attorney General, right? There's big things in the future for him. I can see that most assuredly, right? So these are the kinds of people who are going to be going after the people who have been going after the rest of us. They're strong people. They're people who have been going through this, and they have just as much reason to make sure that it doesn't happen again as the rest of us do. These are the reasons why we need to have faith that these people are just as interested in making it happen as we are.
Exactly. Are you ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
Sure. Rhino Senator Tom Tillis demands ID and social media accounts of an American for just asking a question.
Let's listen.
All right.
Ask me a question later. Will you commit to tell me who you are and where you're from? I agree. So why do you think there's a nexus between that and the question you're asking? Is that a sincere? I see your friend video in here. Is that a sincere? You look sincere. I'm just a young person fighting. I can tell it in your voice, which is why I'm asking you the question.
Can you just answer her question?
I haven't heard the question. Can you turn off that phone?
She's asking you a question.
You had
I
your
just wanted to
chance,
ask
buddy.
again if you could commit to not taking corporate money in your next election.
See, here's the problem. I went from a sympathetic person here to a guy who said you must answer the question on the phone. So
Yeah, you won't answer the question.
It
So I'm
feels a
asking you again. Do
whole
you
lot
represent
like
working class people?
How about you do this for me? If you give me your identifying information, and then I can look at your activities on social media, I promise you I'll answer
you a
that
very
question.
simple question. Do
No,
you
you're not,
represent
buddy.
working class people?
You're
Or do
part
you
of a
represent
process that
corporations?
takes gotcha videos or how you get paid. I'm just not that
No,
guy.
I'm a working class person.
Right here.
On my own
What's your
story.
job? What job do you do? Who do you work for?
Who do I work for? I work for a coffee shop.
Where?
At my home. I'm just asking you a simple question.
Where in your home?
You're not going to shut me down. I'm asking you if you represent working class people or corporations because you're
Buddy,
taking
you
millions
gotta
from them.
focus on somebody who will take your bait.
Yes or no? Why do you refuse?
Thoughts?
Well, sounds like a politician to me. Doesn't give a shit about anything other than trying to scare the shit out of the people who are trying to get him to answer a question that we all want an answer to.
Yep.
Obviously, that young lady had her house burnt down when she was a little bit younger. She just was emotionally wrapped up in the situation and couldn't get through it. And he was the strong prick that most politicians are, that wasn't willing to actually understand and care about what this constituent, I'm assuming she was a constituent, that's why she went up to talk to him specifically. And so he was uncaring, unsympathetic. Wow. If only that was what people made their decisions based off of, is how do you treat the people that you represent? That is not a man who represents anything other than his own special interests. Whatever's in his interest is what he represents.
Right?
Problem is the system's been so broken that people like him are able to stay in there in perpetuity. Why? Because, well, they, kiss the right ass and they get enough corporate donations to be able to stay in that place in perpetuity because they sell themselves like a hooker to whatever company is paying the highest.
Yep.
Aaron says, politicians, cartel, cabal, same effing vermin that needs to be removed. Well, it doesn't seem like it's far off, Aaron.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, Dee. They work for us, but they have forgotten that.
They do seem to have forgotten that concept, but I have a feeling that those are the things they're going to be changing here in the future. And we should not accept anything less other than all of their stepping down and acknowledging that they work for us. Because if they knew that, they would step down and we'd be calling for a special election and let people actually run, the whole 30,000 concept. I haven't railed on that one in a while, but y'all know what I'm getting at.
Yeah. F. Clint, they do. They just have forgotten.
Yeah.
They won't be able to walk the streets. Exactly,
It's because of that behavior. They do it to themselves. They do it to themselves. They can't, like he won't even address these questions. And that young gal was very hurt by the way he was going about doing business.
Exactly.
That's the reason why. If they ever want to know why, because all of you assholes act like that.
Exactly.
Maybe if you started caring about something other than yourselves, then you would be able to walk down the streets without fear of the very people that put you in that place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Steph says we need a smaller government. Too big for its britches, the size it is now. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
They should be paid by performance, like I was.
Me either, Chachi. I had to look him up.
I didn't know who the guy was before, but I sure as hell do now. Yeah, I don't know who he is. It just
Yep.
He's not one of ours.
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
AOC says Elon is controlling your mind.
Are you ready?
Whatever.
Crazy eyes.
Yeah.
Real power is in everyday people. And if you can control the algorithms of what they see, if you can control the narratives of what they believe through propaganda, through artificial amplification, which is what Elon does. He sets his tweets to be the most retweeted, etc. Then you can control them. So we're gonna have to read a lot.
Thoughts?
Okay. We've talked about so much mind control shit. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Elon Musk is using the same tools and techniques and procedures that the left uses to counterbalance everything. But then again, knowing her, I don't know if she's really that deep of a thinker. So I'm going to go with she's just upset that her numbers suck in comparison to Elon's is because, like I've seen the shallow end of a pool have more depth than that one.
Yeah, I know.
Steph says, okay, he's really controlling my mind. Okay, just as long as you're not, I'm okay. Exactly.
All right, let's move on. Can you read that, please?
Former CIA officer Kevin Shipp says Joe Biden should be charged with treason.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hello, guys, and ladies and gentlemen. I just want to give my thoughts regarding this drone situation, this drone mystery, and kind of give you my input based on what we know so far regarding what these things are. We know that the CIA has the most sophisticated covert drone program in the world, and also as part of the DARPA technology easily. Now you have to ask yourself this question: if these things are spying on us, why are they all lit up to abide by FAA regulations for airborne objects to have these types of lights on them? Why does the government say we don't know what they are, but people shouldn't be worried? You know, when the government does a false flag or a cover up, sometimes it is so stupid, but they go by the old National Security Council Directive 10-2 of 1948 of plausible deniability. Even though their story sounds completely stupid, it's still plausible deniability. That's how stupid darkness could be. Anyway, it is my view that these are government drones. The government is claiming it doesn't know what they are, and yet with this kind of documented, filmed, and videoed potential national security threat, the government, you would think, would be responding and shooting these things down, but they're not. They're leaving them there and telling everybody not to worry. They don't know what they are. Once again, our government is lying to us. What could they be? Well, there's a couple of things. One, these covert operational drones have CBRNE detection capabilities. That's chemical, biological, radionuclear, and explosive CBRNE technologies sniffers on them. And I think in this case, perhaps, probably, or it could be, radiation sniffers, radiation detectors on these drones. I understand from Gordon Chang that there have been radiation spikes on both sides of the Hudson River. So that causes us all great concern because when the Soviet Union fell, at least 4 suitcase-sized nuclear weapons were stolen and put on the black market to the highest bidder. Easily could be floated into New York Harbor. When I was in the counterterrorism center with the CIA, that was one of our biggest concerns, that one of these could be floated into New York Harbor and detonated. Also, with the national security threat that Joe Biden created with our open borders, these things are the size of a suitcase. That's why they're called suitcase nukes. Could easily be smuggled across the border into the United States. Thank you, Joe Biden. We all hope that after Donald Trump gets elected, you are held accountable for what you did, and hopefully charged with treason. Back on track. So these could be radiation chemical sniffers in a covert program to try to find some sort of radiological device on the ground. That's the first possibility. The second possibility is a false flag, that the government is putting all these out there to alarm people, make them think that it's some kind of alien invasion or something, as a shiny object to distract everyone from the incoming Trump administration on January the 20th while they plot to stop Trump from getting in. And I guarantee you the shadow government deep state is plotting to stop Donald Trump from getting in. We're all praying for his safety, the safety of his wonderful cabinet. I believe they will get in, and some very dark and wicked heads are going to roll. So it could be a false flag. They're trying to alarm everybody and make them think that these things are aliens, and perhaps even stage some sort of event where one of these things drops something. And I understand one has been videotaped dropping something. But, and again, this is just right now, just a thought, drop something to make it look something explosive, something radiological, a dirty bomb, what have you, to cause national panic and enable the government to suspend the Constitution and declare a state of emergency. And if indeed this is one of the possibilities, then that would be directed by global powers through the Biden administration. So one of those two. Either way, this is extremely concerning for we as Americans and people who love this country. I would encourage everyone to prepare for the worst and prepare for the fact that the government has either found something terrible or they're about to do something terrible. Either way, prepare yourself. Watch every news program you can find. I'll be posting regularly regarding updates on this. And we're living in insane times, everyone. Now, let me add a side note too. Some of these drones, both in the past, especially in the past, these are primarily lit up, but when they were initially confronted, I think it was a state police drone, the suspect drone disappeared from radar. Now, of course, CI drones have that capability to disappear from radar. So that would just be a further explanation of that kind of technology. However, some of these drones, UFOs in the past, deny the laws of physics. They travel at speeds of like 3,000 miles an hour. They dart back and forth. We've seen the Navy pilot radar footage. Then they disappear. Just boom, gone. Now, that denies all the laws of natural physics. So these things are not, these particular category of UFOs are not functioning by natural law and the laws of physics. So what are they? Well, they could be spiritual. You remember the scriptures, Jesus said, in the last times there will be signs in the heaven above and the earth beneath as we get closer to the Great Tribulation and the rise of the Antichrist. So that's one possibility. I'm going to be putting out a video of some of the apparitions that were seen on this covert base that I blew the whistle on. They were seeing kind of figures with goat heads and long coats, several witnesses. And anyway, so some of these UFOs may be of a spiritual, interdimensional nature because they deny all the natural laws. And so that's a separate category. But the ones we're talking about over New Jersey, Virginia, New York, Maryland, over military bases, these are tech drones, clearly objects and clearly lit up because of FAA regulations. And of course, there could be collisions in the air if they weren't.
So I'm going to put the rest of this in the Telegram channel, but what do you think so far?
I mean, he's kind of along the lines of what we're saying. We don't really know. We're not going to get any information. They're saying everything's fine, yet the drone crap is everywhere, and they got lights, etc., etc. They're going to do what they're going to do, and there's not much we can do about it. He's talking some madness, things that I think that are madness, and basically he was implying that the drones have some kind of cloaking capability, and like,
and this is why I wanted
is it
to
a possibility? Yeah, the guy, I looked him up real quick on the interwebs, and yeah, he was probably in CIA. Is he going to tell everything? I can assure you, no, he's not.
Right.
Is he working for him now? I have no idea. I don't know. It's just yeah, more of the same. He's CIA. He might still be running an op. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at too.
Hey, Randoon.
Hey, Randoon. Thanks for joining us again.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's listen. I got Russell Brand.
All right. Oh, he's a cowboy today.
I know.
Yeehaw, friend.
Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Such a simple little proposition that we're offered. And sometimes I think it sounds transactional. I have to give forgiveness in order to receive forgiveness. Increasingly, I realize, though, that it's a frequency hack. When I become all forgiving, I become connected to a whole new. Hey, good to see you. I come connected to a whole new frequency. I become elevated by forgiveness. And it doesn't just mean forgive people for the things that happened in my childhood. And it doesn't just mean forgive people for any of us that have done 12-step inventories for those big things, but to live in a state of continuing and ongoing forgiveness that I may receive it. I wonder if you can live the Lord's Prayer, because it ain't easy, is it, to live the Lord's Prayer? It can be challenging to live in a forgiving state. Don't you think that our culture denies the idea of redemption? And what does redemption, all right, mate, really mean? Redemption really means that we no longer belong to ourselves, that we belong to a higher principle, that we allow him so deeply into a state of access that he owns us absolutely, that we are redeemed, that we are forgiven. Yes, mate. God bless you. God bless you. That we are saved. We are saved in his name.
Thoughts?
So, yeah, he's definitely had a change of ways, has he not?
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I appreciate everything that he was talking about there, and I will say that he is very right. We have a problem with redemption here in this nation. We have a problem trying to accept people's forgiveness, giving people the grace to, get that chance to learn from the mistakes that they make. We've got a long ways to go, but we have to recognize that it's not our responsibility to try to change anybody else. Again, go back to the beginning of the show when we were talking about recognize when it's your responsibility and don't burn yourself up and use all your resources trying to help other people. Let God do a lot of the work himself. Let him do the heavy lifting. He's been figuring out how to do this without us, like his entire existence.
Yeah.
Our little bit of existence isn't going to teach him much that he didn't already know.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Jenny.
Merry Christmas, Jenny.
We love you. We'll see
We
you
love
the
you.
end of the week.
Yep.
Are you ready?
All right. Yes.
I got Tucker.
Wait, at the end of the week? I thought we were talking about just going.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Can you read that, please?
Tucker says the only thing politicians care about is losing their seat. So primary them.
Go.
Good.
I know.
When you deal with politicians, it's the politics of pain. They don't understand anything else. It's not how you deal with normal people. If you're a decent human being, you don't get people to respond to you by threatening them, because that's sick. You don't beat your dog. You don't threaten to, smack your kids until they obey you. That's grotesque. You can convince people with love and by example. Unfortunately, that's not how you deal with politicians. They just don't respond that way. They're a different kind of organism. You really have to tell them, I'm sorry, get with the program or you can't get elected again, because that's the only thing you care about, because you're weird. And that has to be a baseline demand. Dan Crenshaw cannot be a congressman again. You just can't. It's just too insulting.
Thoughts?
So why do we keep him around? See, this is the difficult thing, though, because I know there's a lot of people. Everybody bitches about Congress people, except for when it comes time to vote for their own congressperson, and then they somehow manage to stick around. Yeah, we know things stink around here. That's why we've been trying to get President Trump in, so that way we might actually have a little bit of clarity and less corruption would be nice. But yeah, don't vote for somebody just because they've been there before. As a matter of fact, if they didn't produce in 2 years, if they didn't stand up, and if they're not able to say, I've fought for y'all because of this and this and this and this and this, if they don't have a record that shows that they've been going out of their way, then in all actuality, they probably don't need to be around. If nothing else, they have the ability to vote no in something that the people don't like. And you know what else they have? They have the ability to vote yes on the things that their constituents like. And if they keep not doing that, then we don't want them around.
Exactly.
Hey, new friend, how you doing? Thanks for joining us, Virgil. Manchester, England. Nice.
Greetings.
Thank you for joining us. We
Yes.
appreciate it.
You ready?
Yes.
Can you read that, please?
Potato. Brian Stelter's meltdown over X users reporting political issues as news. CNN is glorious.
Ready?
Yeah.
He's oftentimes relying on random anonymous accounts, these websites, these users on X who are trying to present themselves as the new CNN, the new New York Times, but have no research behind them, no backing, no institutional knowledge. And I understand that for Musk, that's really appealing. It's exciting on his platform, but he ends up misleading a lot of people. It is striking how he does seem to be learning about lawmaking in real time. And just a moment ago, he tweeted about all the coverage of him in the last 24 hours. There's been all these questions, Dana. Is he the real president-elect? Is he the shadow president? Well, Musk responded on X. He says the political and legacy media puppets are all echoing the same idea, parroting the same message, trying to drive a wedge between Trump and me. And Musk adds, they will fail. I don't think anybody's trying to drive a wedge except those Democrats who are saying it. Journalists are just trying to understand the relationship between Trump and Musk, because it's one of the most important relationships of the next 4 years.
We're literally calling it as we see it. Elon Musk put out on social media that he didn't like the bill. Then there was a statement from Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, and then everything fell apart. Brian, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Have a good holiday.
Good to see you. Thanks.
Thoughts?
He just sounded jealous to me.
I know.
Yeah, there was no reporting there whatsoever. That
No.
was just him being butthurt that he didn't, get as many views on X as Elon did. Like anybody ever cared about him anyways. Wow, whatever.
Yeah.
If I had a crybaby sound effect, I would do that. But in the meantime...
Exactly. Mike sounds like him, but it doesn't look like him.
Okay, yeah, going back to what F. Clyn was talking about, agreed, both of you gentlemen. There's something, his head shape ain't right, but the sound is there.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and yeah, your dome don't change.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
really weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Can you read that, please?
CNN lone conservative Scott Jennings asks the $64,000 question about Dementia Joe and the cover-up.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I just have to ask when the accountability is going to come for every single person who sat in front of a television, who held some position of responsibility and lied their rear end off about what they were seeing behind closed doors. People came on television and said, oh, I'm with him all day and he's really engaged and he's doing the job and he's running circles around us. And these videos are cheap fakes and on and on and on. Brazen lying by people who work for our government, and they lied to us about it.
Thoughts?
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Yep.
Just go ahead and do that one for Jenny.
I know.
But regardless, yeah, they straight up lied to the American people's faces and told us the president was fine.
Yes.
That information should have changed the course of the future of this nation. But they didn't do that. They decided to hold on to a lie. They should be held accountable for that. They perpetuated a fraud against the people of the United States when they should have been telling us, what, are they so good? Are they doing such a magnificent job running the nation? It's doing so well. We don't have any impending wars. We don't have any terrorist issues. Our gas prices are good. Everybody can buy food. There's no homelessness. There's no unemployment problems. Business is booming. Everything's great. No, of course not. As a matter of fact, it's quite the opposite, and they're making it worse. I have no problem with the gallows for those who have committed treason upon this country.
Yep.
I hope they understand the gravity of the game that they were playing.
Yeah. It's worse than they're fired.
No, it's worse than fired.
Yep.
Worse than fired. Only one crime, punishable by death in the Constitution.
Yep.
Huh?
You ready?
Yeah.
Let's listen.
All right.
The best marriages are not two people that have a silver spoon in their mouth and get married and live happily ever after. That doesn't happen. That never happens in the history of the world. The best marriages are two people that get married, they commit to each other, they roll up their sleeves, they slug it out through not with each other, but life, all through the trenches of life. And they wake up one morning as best friends. Those are the best marriages in the world. And see, sometimes you're just slugging it out through life and it's hard and your feelings are negative or your feelings aren't present or whatever. And that's when the devil comes to you and says you made a mistake.
Thoughts?
All right. Marriages. Marriages are a challenge. Thoughts on that one?
They are. It takes work every single day.
Every single day takes work. Any friendship, any relationship, anything takes work. Got to put yourself into it. You get what you give. And so we got to put ourselves into it.
Absolutely. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Okay. Ugly dude. Tucker Carlson flashback. The media covered for Bathhouse Barry Obama's personal pleasures in 2008.
Ready?
Yes.
You know, everybody I knew, the world I lived in Northwest DC, like everyone works either directly for the government or is a parasite on government effectively, including people I love and know really well. And the media is too, by the way. I mean, the media is reporting on government, but it's also dependent on government. You know, in 2008, it became really clear that Barack Obama had been having sex with men and smoking crack. And a guy came forward, Larry Sinclair, and said, I'll sign an affidavit. And he did. I'll take a lie detector. And he did. I smoked crack with Barack Obama and had sex with him. Well, that was obviously true. Nobody reported it, not because they were squeamish about sex or drugs, but because the Obama campaign said anyone who reports on this gets no access to the Obama campaign. And so they didn't report on it. So that happens. That's just one small example, but that happens all the time with lots of different issues.
Now,
And
do you believe that transpired, or do you believe the guy is legitimate, or both?
Oh, the Larry Sinclair story? Oh, that definitely happened. Oh, for sure. I mean, I've talked to Larry Sinclair about it, and oh, definitely it happened. I mean, Larry Sinclair's been in and out of prison during one period. I mean, 40 years ago, he was in and out of prison. He's got a criminal record by definition. He's, poor. He's got a disordered life. He's missing a tooth. Like, he's not, an Atlantic fellow. He's not going to the Aspen Ideas Festival. I think he has a record of deception. Obviously he does. But this story, if you listen to it in detail, is clearly true. I mean, I'm going to do an interview with him and you can hear it. And again, it's not going to change the world that Barack Obama likes dudes. I think this was well known. Barack Obama said so himself in a letter to his girlfriend. And by the way, that's kind of Barack Obama's business. I'm not attacking him for liking dudes. I'm just saying the amount of lying in the media about it was unbelievable. Like, people knew this was true, and it was quite obviously true at the time. And people who covered the campaign didn't say anything about it because they didn't want to lose access to the campaign. And that happens all the time up and down government. So it's almost like if you have a housekeeper, you think, oh, she works for me. But if you have a housekeeper long enough, you realize, well, you actually work for her, and you get caught up in her dramas. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's a weird dynamic where you switch places with people.
And by the way, fire her abruptly and she'll write a tell-all book about Tucker at home.
That's exactly right. And, we don't even have a full-time housekeeper. So that's not going to be an issue for me. But the point is, you think you're holding government accountable, but actually they're controlling you. That's really the dynamic in Washington. But, you're living in the soup and it's hard to see it at work. And this is a long way of saying the conclusions I've reached are middle-aged conclusions. And that's a lot of it.
Right.
It's just that I've gotten older and you can't see certain things when you're younger. And it's like young people, you'd think they'd be the most open-minded of all. They're the least open-minded because they're afraid of the future. So they want to believe whatever storyline they've been fed is true. Like, the only problem with America is white supremacy, and our tax system is fair, and Kennedy was assassinated by a lone gunman or whatever. They don't want to face the terrifying unknown and complexities of the actual world we live in, the reality of life, which is like, we have no freaking idea what's going on, actually. They don't want to admit that.
Thoughts?
I would say that that's the biggest obstacle. Exactly what he was talking about there at the end. They don't want to face the reality of what's going on.
Exactly.
And so trying to accept, Bathhouse Barry and that he was,
Big Mike.
and Big Mike, I mean, these were all kinds of things that they're difficult to accept. What do you mean? I remember somebody confronted me with that. Somebody I went to high school with. Great dude, really wanted me to see the truth. And I just couldn't see it. I made all the excuses people make to me when you're trying to explain to them about Big Mike. It's something that people just aren't prepared to deal with. But those days are coming to a close. More and more people are willing to accept the concept that they got lied to and they got tricked and they're not as smart as they think they were. And that is the key point right there, is that they have to accept that they're not as smart as they thought they were. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we're getting to. And that's what people are going to find out. People are going to be coming around, as more and more of the truth comes out and things get more and more ridiculous every day leading up to January 20th. It's all going to culminate and it's going to make people say, this has got to stop.
Mm-hmm.
But Trump will be there just in time. And then we have to try to keep people from absolutely fawning over him as if he were the second coming.
Yeah.
You ready?
Things to consider. Yes.
Can you read that, please?
John Fetterman says, Democrats I know and happen to love voted for Donald Trump.
Listen.
And after you survived an assassination, you literally were shot in your head and had the presence of mind to respond, fight, fight, fight. I mean, that's a political talent. It's undeniable. And also, I never believed that it was about fascism. And for me, that made it difficult for
Kamala Harris said that he was a fascist.
Yeah, well, it's like that's her prerogative. I mean, but it's not a word that I would use because you put a lot of Democrats, especially in my state, that I know and I happen to love people that are going to vote for Trump, and they are not fascists. And also fascism, that's not a word that regular people, use. That, I think people are going to decide who is the candidate that's going to protect and project, my version of the American way of life. And that's what happened.
Thoughts?
Who dat?
I don't know which version. I really don't.
He was very well spoken.
I know, like I said, I don't know which version.
Anyway, that was mildly impressive that the guy had a brain like reconnect or whatever it was.
Something.
Very, very, very nice. Anyways, yeah, it's Fetterman. And he's he's red pilling the shit out of people now. Yeah, nothing to see here, folks. All is normal.
You ready?
Nothing's scripted.
Not at all.
Nope.
I just, like I said, they're waking people up any way they can at this point.
It's like for us, it's obvious. Whatever. Yeah. All right. Moving on.
Can you read that, please?
What? Lefty Sink Weiger shocks TPUSA audience, calls for revolt against Democrat Party establishment.
Like I said, it's happening. Let's listen.
All right.
So, Cenk, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for that warm welcome. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
So Cenk, the spirit of inviting you is that there's some confusion of these divides of right versus left, populist versus corporatist. I guess a good opening would be, as a man in the progressive movement, as one of the leaders of the progressive movement, what do you make of this last year, the state of the Democrat Party, and kind of American politics from the more progressive left perspective?
Yeah. So first of all, I'm proud to represent the left flank of the populist movement, and I think we need both flanks, so I'm happy to have this conversation. In terms of what has gone wrong in the Democratic Party, it's the same thing that went wrong in the Republican Party, but I do have to give you guys credit for a revolution well done. And what I mean by that is not a revolution against the Democratic Party or the left or the country, but a revolution against the establishment. So I knew you guys were for real in fighting against the establishment when I started going on right-wing shows and I would say something negative about Mitch McConnell. And when I did that in the past, what I would get back is, oh, no, Mitch McConnell's great. Pelosi's terrible, but Mitch McConnell's great.
Let's do that here. What do you guys think of Mitch McConnell?
All right. Yes, I love that. So look, for my left-wing friends that are watching out there, they just booed Mitch McConnell. That's a great thing, okay? And let's do one more. What do you guys think about Dick Cheney? My left-wing friends out there, we have been waiting for the right-wing populists to boo Mitch McConnell and Dick Cheney our whole lives. Take the win. Take the win. Now, what we need to do in the Democratic Party is we need to do likewise. We need to have a revolt against the Joe Bidens, the Kamala Harrises, and the Nancy Pelosi's. And the Hillary Clintons, and now all of a sudden the Dick Cheneys. What are they doing on our side? Are you guys nuts? Right?
I have to interject. When all of a sudden Kamala Harris is doing the Liz Cheney thing, I said, does she want to lose? I mean,
what's amazing is I said the same thing. Look, Dick Cheney polls at 13%. What lunatic thought it was a good idea to wrap yourself around Dick Cheney? I mean, when we started the Young Turks 22 years ago, longest running show in internet history, first ever YouTube partner with original YouTubers, one of the driving forces was get Dick Cheney out of office, right? And now for Kamala Harris to come full circle and say, oh, I've got 90 corporate CEOs backing me, and I've got all these executives on my side, and I've got Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney on my side, was so counterproductive. It's not what the left wing stands for. It's not what the Democratic Party should be about. So the problem is the establishment. They are controlled by the donor class, and mainstream media is their marketing arm. They do not do news. They do propaganda. And one more thing. What I want you guys to recognize is that mainstream media, you think, is against you. You think they're against the right wing. But they also hate Bernie Sanders. And they also hate me. And they also hate the populists on the left. What mainstream media really loves is the establishment and the elites. They're against all of us combined. And if we dare unite on issues we agree on, they will be livid, and it'll be a beautiful day in America.
Thoughts?
All right. So this is exactly what the whole point is to what we're getting to. Is that from the farthest left to the rightest right is coming together, recognizing who the real problem in this country is, and that's the elites, those who have felt that they're better than the rest of us only because they were more treacherous and willing to do everything wrong, and that was what it took to be in part of their club. Their club is going away. You couldn't talk about their club before, but now you can talk about their club. And it's still difficult. You know, we're still getting silenced on certain, communist style platforms, but that's their problem, not ours. As a matter of fact, that guy made his way on that far left leaning platform. And I'm sure that they helped him out tremendously. And I'm sure that now they don't like him because he's not really towing the line anymore. But it's stupid to toe the party line now because the party line is gone. Everybody realizes that that's not anything that you want to back. As a matter of fact, you want to go with this whole unity thing that's going on in America. And that's really, in the end, it was like on our coins. Like it's like our founding fathers were telling us something, the whole e pluribus unum thing. From many one, we have to become one.
Yep.
We're watching it. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's been taking a long time. But the good thing is we're starting to see it start to come together.
Yep.
And then it's going to start happening faster and faster. These are the things that give me confidence that no matter what they do between now and January 20th, that they've lost the narrative entirely. They got Mr. Potato Head, who doesn't even look like Mr. Potato Head anymore.
I know.
The mayor's brother on the MSLSD or whatever. He's been Cuomo. Yeah, he's been telling, he's been red pilling people for a while. And there's a lot of them they have lost the narrative. Rejoice in that, because that's all they had. And look what they did to the nation. The narrative is the most important part. And that's what's going to make it so that way America can be saved.
Yep. You ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Kamala campaign advisor Lindy Lee quits the Democrat Party in scorched earth style.
Ready?
Yes.
The Democrats have got to move on quickly, haven't they?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. She's indulging delusions of running for governor in California in 2026 and perhaps even running for president in 2020. And I just want to echo what a lot of you guys already said. This past week has been harrowing for me. This Saturday, I went on Fox and Friends and I said that Democrats have a stench of loser hanging over them.
Yeah.
As soon as I said that, there were boycott campaigns against me, unblock, unfollow campaigns. I lost 40,000 followers.
Really?
In 4 days. People have called me the W word. I don't know what we're allowed to say, but you can fill in the blank.
We're uncensored. Let's say it. Say it. Say what the word was.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
Well, they called me a whore. They called me the C word. They asked for me to be deported. And you can just search for my name in those terms on X and you'll see a bunch of them. So, all these so-called Democrats, the party of inclusion, the party of diversity, masks off. And it's even worse because they pretend to occupy the moral high ground. They pretend to be, so loving and caring and embracing of diversity. But all of a sudden, when I dare to utter any criticisms of the goddess, Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party, my donors are pissed. They raised $2.5 billion across Super PAC in the campaign. It's my responsibility. It's my duty of care to ask what the hell happened with that money? Why did we spend it? Why did we spend millions of dollars on 5-star hotels for campaign staffers? Why did we spend $500,000 essentially bribing Al Sharpton moments before he interviewed Kamala? These are legitimate questions, but no, in the cult, you can't ask questions.
Yeah.
And leaving the Democratic Party or even questioning the Democratic Party is like leaving a cult. It's terrifying. Pierce, I don't want that. I don't want to be a part of this tent. I don't want to be a part of this craziness anymore. They're accelerating my rightward shift. I don't want this nonsense. It's just crazy. And honestly, they're shrinking their tent. They're basically telling me to they're pushing me to bring my tens of millions of dollars that I've raised and can continue to raise to a different team that treats me better, that treats me with just common decency, that doesn't call me a communist spy. By the way, the communist regime in China killed my great-grandfather. They don't know my family's history. This is the first time I'm really saying it on air. They are calling me a spy for the regime that killed my great-grandfather. Let that soak in just for a second. That's how disgraceful they are. Yeah. And these are the people who call themselves the social justice warriors. They are dabbling, they are going headfirst into racism anytime someone dares to disagree with them. I don't want to be a part of this nonsense anymore. I want to be a part of the team that says men are men and women are women, and then men shouldn't play in women's sports. And I'm an athlete myself. I'm a marathon runner.
Thought.
Haven't seen scorched earth like that since Sherman went down south.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's just, it's at first you hear about the people from the left and they're like, everybody started attacking me. And it's like, yeah, that's what we've been saying. But she like understood the assignment. She figured it out. It's like, oh, oh, I don't want to be around these people. They really are the exact opposite of everything that they're telling everybody that they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. I'm glad you were
Welcome
able
to the right.
Yeah, welcome to the nature of reality. Also, as I was looking at that panel, we had Piers Morgan up on the top left-hand corner. She was down there in the bottom, and then that Turk dude up in the top right-hand corner. These are all people that are waking up that I've seen. I don't know who the other three people were, but then again, I never really gave a shit about the left-wing media. But now it's looking like the left-wing media all of a sudden figured out what the Constitution was, and I'm grateful for that. So welcome to America.
Mm-hmm.
Steph says, I just got a thing across my phone from Newsbreak. Said Bill Clinton hospitalized. Don't know more than that. Haven't read the article yet. That is interesting. We'll take a look at that, see if we can't get anything. But let's see. There was Nasty Nancy and now Slick Willie.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Sounds like the
listen.
old guard starting to
Fall.
fall.
Let's listen.
You think because you prayed a prayer or you came to an altar, you can just say, ask the Lord into your heart and then live any way that you want. No, family, the devil is a liar. He said when you recognize in your life habitual, watch this word, willful practices of sin, the Lord looks at you and said, son, daughter, you better watch. Cut it off. You better stop it, for you're going to end up back in Matthew 7. They came to me and said, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name? And did we not serve on a team? And did we not sing on a platform? Did we not preach sermons? And he's going to say, depart from me, you worker of iniquity. You love sin. I never knew you. Y'all worried about the atheists. I'm worried about you. You more deceived than they are. At least they know they don't believe in God. But you got a false assurance while you claiming Christ and living in sin. Or once saved, always saved. Those who endure to the end shall be saved.
Thoughts?
All right. So something that's brought up all the time, and this is one of the things that a lot of Christians get upset about. And to tell you the truth, a lot of people who are refusing to be Christians because they see a bunch of people who say that they're saved, yet they're going off and doing twice as much as half of the people that don't believe are doing. The Bible talks about that specifically, and I know that everybody here pretty much gets that whole concept that you're actually supposed to walk the path as opposed to just talking about the path. Is it the easiest thing to do? No, it's not. But that's kind of the point, because
Actions, not words.
it's exactly, it's the actions, not the words. It's about overcoming our fleshly desires. That is the real problem that's gotten us to where we're at. The love of money, the love of lust. Name the 7 deadly sins.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you continue to do those, then that means that you read the word and you understand it, and you think that, magic genie Jesus is going to say you're good. You just keep doing whatever it is you want, even though everything in the book points to the exact opposite of that path. Make sure that we're doing the things. Are we perfect? No. And certainly don't use our faith as something to hold us above anybody else. We need to make sure that we are walking the path as best as we can.
Amen. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Can you read that, please?
Yes. Well, Democrats didn't learn jack squat. Chris Murphy accuses Elon Musk of supporting Nazis.
Ready?
Dumbass. Yeah.
But I do want to ask you about Elon Musk's endorsement of the AfD, the far-right German political group, on Twitter. This is in light of the German chancellor calling a no-confidence vote. There being new elections there in February. Very tumultuous time, not to mention what happened this evening at that Christmas market. Can you help me understand why Elon Musk would involve himself, as you try to understand it, in German politics in this way?
Yeah, I really can understand it. AfD is referred to as the far-right party in Germany, but let's be honest, they are essentially a neo-Nazi party. At the core of their platform is the rehabilitation of the image of the Nazi party. They stand for lots of hateful things, including the mass deportation of anybody in Germany who is not born in Germany. One of their leaders' license plate honors Adolf Hitler. So this is obviously a really disturbing endorsement that Elon Musk has made of the neo-Nazi party in Germany. And if Elon Musk is actually in charge of the Trump administration, it portends some really, really evil things when it comes to the kind of efforts that the Trump administration is going to support abroad, not democracies, but in fact, potentially hateful fringe political groups like AFD.
Senator Chris Murphy, thank you very much for joining.
Thoughts?
Was that MSNBC?
Yeah,
Why did we even bother playing it? We know that they just play trash.
I know.
I highly doubt that Elon's a Nazi.
Because people need to hear what these dumbasses are still saying.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Whatever. Yeah, that was, I'll never get the time back.
Can you read that, please?
A woman from Democrat-run New Pennsylvania Project has been charged for registering dead people to vote.
Ready?
Sure.
Surprise. She would use the app to go online and send in the information to the state to get somebody registered to vote. The state then requires certain pieces of information, one of which is your driver's license or your last 4 digits of your social security number. If they have those successfully, they can upload that information from the state databases, send it down to the county. The county, it's called a verified registration. The county, Jim's people then go and through and put your vote or your ward and precinct and all that information and actually issue you a card, a voter registration card. Some of them, the state can't verify and they send them down to our election office or whatever county it is. And those people then get contacted through what's called a HAVA letter. That's the Helping America Vote Act. Federal law was passed in 2002 after the 2000 election fiasco. That letter basically goes out to that person saying, we can't verify this information, can you give us more? Jim's people, and Jim is one of the people, and I think Crystal, who noticed that some of these that were coming in from Ms. Hill's app were the same variations of the same name. Again, this person who died in her house in 2011, she tried multiple times to register that individual, Mr. Reed, using either different spellings or different addresses or different email accounts. They noticed these clusters of these fake votes not fake votes, excuse me, fake registrations. And they immediately contacted Tanner and Doug, and we began an investigation. That has led to the charges today. Ms. Hill is being charged with, again, 4 counts of registering people, including her dead father and a person who died in the house she currently lives in 2011, that she was the one notified authorities that he was dead in that house. So she knowingly registered dead people or attempted to register dead people through the state system. She did register a fraudulent person. And my understanding is this is sort of a gap in the system where by putting in no date of birth and no social security number, is that right, Doug? It goes through and it became a verified voter registration.
Thoughts?
Surprise. There's cheaters in Pennsylvania. Who would have seen that one coming?
I know.
What are you going to do about it? But, okay, so
At least
this
she
one
got
feels...
caught.
Yeah, bullshit. She didn't get caught. You think that she only ever cheated with 2?
Yeah, I know.
Bullshit. What is she really tied into? And I'm sure she's part of a group that's conspiring against the nation. This is why Guantanamo Bay needs to be, ran effectively against those who have committed these treasonous crimes against the nation, to find out who their co-conspirators are. I highly doubt that she only had 2. This is to stop something much bigger from coming up. This was a deal that was made. I don't believe that. That's all she did. Bunch of bullshit. But they don't want her to take down everything. I hope and pray that the real truth comes out about this heifer.
Me too.
And that she's forced to cry and spill the beans on everybody and everything she knows that have been, I don't know, committing treason.
Yeah.
It's a serious game, and it needs to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Because it's either us or them. If somebody chooses to commit treason against this nation, there needs to be no end until it's cleaned up. Otherwise, they would make sure that there's no end until all of us have been cleaned up.
Yeah. You ready?
Let that one sink in. And then think about it and let it sink in a second time.
There is that. You
Yeah,
ready?
I'm ready.
Can you read that, please?
Brian Enton says Western North Carolina hurricane survivors share their stories.
Let's listen.
Oh, there's some they haven't killed off yet, huh?
Yeah.
With all the devastation in North Carolina, there are still little signs of Christmas. Like this rolled over box truck, decorated with candy canes and lights. Nothing feels normal here since Hurricane Helene.
Oh, it's rough.
Yeah, what little
It's rough.
I explained it to a friend, like what little we did have, it is gone. So you have to restart.
Alyssa Money, her husband, and 4 kids lost everything. Now they all live in a very small camper.
The baby sleeps here. It's like we clean it out every night. I know it seems like a lot, but we put all our toys in there during the day and then clean it out for her to sleep in at night. Then Ariel sleeps here, Gloria up top, Landon on the bottom. There's just, a little tiny bathroom back there.
Now it's all together. What they're most grateful for this Christmas is this shed turned into an extra bedroom. So this was a shed.
Yeah, it's just a regular shed, but they turned it into where we can just be a hangout spot, basically. That way we ain't got all crammed inside the camper at one time, So
Does it make a big difference having the shed also?
Oh, yeah. It definitely, it's a big difference than just having the camper. The first 2, 3 weeks, three or 4 weeks or so, we only had the camper. And it is a little rough, but we made it.
Imagine having so little that you're so thankful for a shed. Stephanie Mormino with local group Homes for Hope donates the sheds to families living in tents and RVs.
And it's cold and it's wet and they're trying to save some of their stuff. And so we just thought there has to be a better way. So I drove past the shed shop and we grabbed a shed, did some fundraising for that, and then insulated it and drywalled because it keeps you warm. Because even campers can be really cold in the wintertime.
So many of the hurricane survivors here feel forgotten about by the outside world,
These are games I got to finish wrapping.
which is why so many local organizations like Eagle Rock Church are determined to make sure every kid has a Christmas gift.
When I go through here, this is going to be how we set up our Sunday service. And then every kid that comes to service will get a present.
The church is filled with donated gifts, and a group called Operation Shelter that has spent months donating RVs to homeless survivors created this video they call Christmas is Not Canceled. A reminder for everyone here still suffering.
We're trying really hard to bring the Christmas spirit. We had Santa walk around downtown to try and make people smile, and we're doing everything we can to get presents to people and make them like wrapped full of with ribbons and make them really colorful so it feels somewhat normal. But it's not normal, It definitely is somber.
It's somber pretty much everywhere you look in some of the towns outside Asheville, but there are glimmers of hope. We were just driving by and spotted the American flag and the big Christmas tree, and we wanted to stop. And it smells like Christmas out here.
That's intentional.
What
It
is
smell like death and bacteria and funk.
Dave Graham, who goes by Cowboy Dave, is living in an RV next to an enormous Christmas tree. Every night, he plugs in the lights. There's a star at the top, and the mulch he spread covers the mud and even gives off a Christmas smell. It's the little things that give people hope here. Will you be able to do Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
Last year we put the Christmas presents in maybe my sister's crib.
In the crib, yeah.
Yeah, that's where we do.
Yeah. We'll probably do it in here this time.
And Santa still knows where to come.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
he definitely knows where to go.
It's just so heartbreaking to meet that family that all 6 of them are in that small little camper and they've got the shed outside. And I do have some good news. Erin from Operation Shelter, who you saw in my piece, the blonde woman, she actually just left me a voice message a little while ago, and I want to play it for you because it's good news.
Hey, Brian.
they're actually helping us with two separate RV deliveries. So thank you so much for connecting us with Emergency RV. We were having problems finding someone to deliver one of our RVs. So they've offered to help with that and get this family a big RV before Christmas. So those two things are in the works. We've got like 10 text feeds going on and titles flying around. Oh my God, it's so exciting. And, you know, it happened because of you posting yesterday. So thank you so much. Have a good night. Bye.
I mean, it's the best news ever. Listen, that's the reason we do these jobs. So hopefully that family, and it's not because of me, by the way, the people here are incredible. Like the way the local people work in the local charities, and they're on text and they're on X and they all communicate. So hopefully we'll have a happy ending for that family and they'll be able to get a much better place to stay. So we'll keep you posted on that. Imagine being 9 months pregnant with a monster hurricane coming closer by the minute. Alyssa Farr had planned on giving birth at home.
I'm going to stick the rest of this in Telegram as well, but thoughts.
It's
mean,
a
it's
miserable
a lot.
situation over there, and please remember all these people during this Christmas season. This is where people are at. This is because our government doesn't give a fuck about the people. Because if this government gave a fuck about anything other than themselves, then this would be taken care of. Problem is it's filled with a bunch of people who actually do care about something other than themselves. It's just those who seem to be the decision makers seem to be the ones that are blocking anything that would be good for the American people. Again, it's treason. It needs to be dealt with. But let's get through this season right now, get Trump back in office, and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
I got Trump.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to start thinking about TikTok. I think we're going to have to start thinking. Because, you know, we did go on TikTok and we had a great response with billions of views, billions and billions of views. They brought me a chart and it was a record and it was so beautiful to see. And as I looked at it, I said, maybe we got to keep this sucker around a little while, you know?
Thoughts?
So, not that TikTok's the greatest thing on the planet, but what the greatest thing that it has been is been that stopgap emergency fix that America's needed to make sure that we could continue to get the information out there.
Quickly.
Same thing goes with excellent places like Pill.net and Rumble. Have been going out of their way to make sure that people can get the word out there. TikTok
And
has
speak
been
the truth.
Yes. TikTok has been very, very much under the microscope and they get rid of people all the time. But it had the most amount of people, and that's what gave people the opportunity to send people from TikTok to other platforms that are less fascist, like other video channel things, tubes, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Anyway, they did good, but it was a great opportunity to send people to places like Pilled and Rumble.
Yeah, I agree. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's listen.
All right.
I choose you today and always. You are my safe place, my steady rock, and my guiding light. You are my soulmate, the one who understands me like no one else ever could. You are the love of my life, and I can't imagine a single moment, let alone a day, without you by my side. Through life's ups and downs, joys and struggles, I am certain of one thing: our love is unbreakable. Together, we've built something extraordinary, and no challenge can take that away from us. My heart beats for you, my soul is tethered to yours, and my every dream includes you. With you, I am whole. With you, I am home. No matter what life may throw our way, I promise to stand by you, to cherish you, and to love you more deeply every single day. You are my forever, my always, my everything. And I thank the universe every day for bringing you into my life. This love we share is infinite, and I know in my heart it will last forever.
First of all, I want to say I hope each and every one of you have an amazing time with your family. And like Mike said, remember Jesus is the reason for the season. It's not about the Christmas or the presents and all that other stuff. It's always about him. But what Jordan Peterson was talking about is so important. And in the world today, we have made giving up so easy. You can give up on anything and just quit. And we don't need that. We need to start remembering that sometimes you got to stand up and you got to stay there and you got to work through things and you got to talk and you got to talk through things and you got to remember that no matter what happens, that it's worth sticking through everything, whether that is a friendship, a marriage, a work relationship, whatever it is. Remember to keep your heart open, keep it full of joy, and keep it full of love, because that is exactly how we make this world a better place.
Love. Love is the answer. We go through it all the time. It's not easy in this day and age, but you know what? That's exactly what this season has been about. And whether or not you believe that his birthday was around this time frame or in the spring, whether or not you celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas, whatever the case is, we pray that you find what Yeshua was actually talking about, and that is a divine connection with your Creator. And that we use that connection that we receive to be that expression of love and to find God's face and all of the faces that you see during this holiday season. We love you all very much, and we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you so much. And we wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah, whichever it is that you celebrate.
Yes. And we were going to come back on Thursday and Friday, but honestly, I think we're just going to come back next Thursday. We need some.
I'm tired, boss.
Huh?
I'm tired, boss.
Yeah, we need a break.
Yeah.
It's been rough this year, and so we're going to take off until after New Year's. We'll be back on the 2nd. We love each and every one of you.
Yeah.
We miss you guys very, very much all the time, but we need this for us and for our well-being.
Yes, we do. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And we appreciate each and every one of you on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, X, Rumble, and pill.net.
And if you haven't already, please take a minute and give us that virtual hug. If you're over on Rumble or YouTube, hit that thumbs up. If you're over on pill.net, take that red pill. If you're over on X, smash that heart.
There we go.
And if you're on Facebook, you have like 7 choices. So clickety-click away.
Click away, friends. We love you all. Have a great holiday. Be safe, and God bless each and every one of you.